What's up, everybody, and welcome to BioS3 Raw TV. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about something that I mentioned before, and I don't even know if the video is up yet, but I've actually had people ask me about it, asking me what I think about it, and that is the post-competition anabolic rebound. Okay, I'm not talking about binging. I'm talking about the anabolic rebound, which happens within the month after the show. Your body's essentially like a sponge. If you've trained it for the last 15, 16 weeks, whatever you're doing, you're essentially in an overtrained state. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. You've recovered to a certain point, but I can guarantee you're in a somewhat overtrained state. So now what happens is, so much in the way carbs supercompensate, and I can hear you science nuts already just waiting to jump on me, the body can use protein in a very similar way. There's a program in the Big Beyond Belief book where it's like 4 pounds of 10 days or 3 pounds of 10 days, whatever the hell it is, that uses the same principle. Now, if you've lost muscle while you're dieting, which happens most of the time, it is very easy to put it back on after a competition if you're eating a good diet. If you're eating a bunch of shit, you're going to get fat. I don't care who you are. If you're binging, you're going to get fat. But if you, right after your competition, like the next day, go back to a very high protein diet, good carbs, and have some of the shit meals when you want them, but basically feeding your body those good calories, you're going to get an anabolic rebound. You're going to get a supercompensation with glycogen, water. If you take your creatine, you're going to get supercompensation with the creatine, and you're going to get supercompensation with the protein. The body's going to try to build that muscle back faster because it is essentially in a state of emergency. You've pretty much fucking killed it for the last like 12 to 16 weeks if you've trained hard enough. And it is ready to rebound. If you push the body in one direction, it's going to want to go in the other direction. It's like wrestling. When you lock up with a guy, if you push him, if you want him to go this way, you push him that way. He pushes this way. You turn and pull, and he's going to go. If the body's the same way, if you push it one way, it's going to go back the other way. And all you have to do is turn and pull and use that to your advantage. So what we do is, I don't believe in taking time off after a competition. I take, like Saturday I'll compete. I'll take Sunday off. And then sometimes I'll take Monday off too. Most of the time I'll take Monday off and just kind of get my bearings back together. I get back to training my clients and stuff. And then Tuesday I'm back in the gym doing what I call active recovery. Now active recovery is you're in the gym and you're getting blood to the muscles, but you are not breaking the muscle down. You've already broken the muscle down to the point where it's pretty much overtrained. So now at this point, this is where people are like, oh, but that's the same theory as you do a heavy workout at the beginning of the week and a light workout at the end of the week. Bullshit, because you haven't busted the muscle up enough in the beginning of the week to use that later workout and later in the week. So now what you're doing is you're essentially feeding your body. It's like if you fall down a flight of stairs and you get hurt. You go in the hospital, you lay down, they feed you some drugs, they feed you food, you lay there and recover. Okay, essentially you fall down a flight of stairs for the last 12 weeks, and now it's time to recover. But now what happens is they don't tell you to lay in bed for the next 6 months. They tell you to lay in bed until you can get up and start moving again. Once you start moving again, the body starts to heal itself faster. Same thing, which is the way this works. If you get back in the gym, same compound movements, pull-ups, bench presses, push-ups. I go with the side laterals. The way I do them, it's more of a compound movement than it is an isolation movement. Barbell curls, close grip bench presses, all that type of stuff, leg presses, squats, and I'll do a 3-day week or 4-day week, depends on how my body's feeling and responding. And I'll notice with that first week, I'm starting to inflate. Now, some of it is supercompensation from the glycogen, but that happens within the first 3 days, and pretty much my body's soaked up all the glycogen, it's gone. Within 3 days, I'm full, period. That's how it works, for me anyways. So after that, there's a strong evidence pointing towards the fact that, and there's no studies, because they don't study bodybuilders post-competition, that you're putting the muscle back on after your competition. Your strength starts going back up. Now, if anybody knows, a bunch of water is not going to make your strength go up. The muscle has to get bigger and stronger itself. So I'm not talking about a huge jump in strength. I'm talking about a slow, steady, gradual increase in strength over the next few weeks. Now, it takes about, 1 to 3, maybe 4 the most I've ever seen, to where the body reacts like this, and then it actually just starts to get fat. When you start to get fat, at that point, your anabolic rebound is done, and you need to figure out what you're going to do from there. Whether you're going to enter a mass gaining phase, or you're going to head into another cutting phase for a show, or whatever the hell you're going to do. But this technique was actually used by 6-time Mr. Olympia, and I can hear, well, he was on drugs, 6-time Mr. Olympia Dorian Yates, and he was absolutely adamant in the fact that he would gain more muscle in that short period of time than he would for the rest of the year. Most of his gains came within that 4 weeks after the Olympia, when he went back to the gym in harnessing the Rebound. And a lot of these guys would take complete months off after the Olympia. They take 1 to 3 months off and not do anything. But these guys weren't progressing. Yates was. He understood that if he harnessed that, he had a leg up on his competition. He didn't tell anybody about it. He wasn't talking about it at all until he retired and said, this is what I used to do because this is how this works. Now, if you've ever competed before, you may have noticed this, and you kind of attribute it to, oh, it's just super compensation. I've got some glycogen back in me. I'm starting to heal, etc. But that's actually not a fact. That thing does happen where you super compensate your glycogen and water and stuff, but you actually do put back the muscle that you've lost in a relatively fast amount of time with muscle memory. Now, on top of that, your body has pretty much said, we're going to go through this shit again. We need more muscle because we're going to lose muscle again when we go through all this bullshit again. So now what it does is super compensates. And I'm not talking about 35 pounds of muscle that you gain. I'm talking about maybe 4 pounds of muscle in that 4 weeks, which may not seem like much to some people, but 4 pounds of muscle could drastically change the way your physique looks. So be aware that even if you put on 2 pounds of solid muscle, that's a lot of weight to put on in 1 month. That's solid, lean tissue. Okay, it's not bloat weight, it's not fat, it's not glycogen, it's a lean muscle tissue. So that's what my next plan is after the competition. So I have this weekend, and then next weekend, which will be the Sean Ray. And after that, we're going to be doing the anabolic rebound, or harnessing the anabolic rebound, in back of the gym. No time off, no fucking around, no farting around, no, I need a rest. I absolutely need a rest, but 2 days of rest for me is more than plenty. So we got the shows coming up, then anabolic rebound. Then we have the Olympia. We got all sorts of cool stuff coming up on BioS3, and we're going to go ahead and film the competitions and backstage and stuff. And we're going to get some new editing software so we can use the super high def camera on there so we can edit it on the laptop instead of using the phone. And then we're going to go to the Olympia, film there. We're going to go back to my hometown where I grew up in Warren to visit my parents. I mean, we get a lot of stuff coming up, so it's going to be cool. So stay tuned for that stuff. www.biostraining.com is the blog. biostraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. And remember, I'm BioS3, and I approve this message.